Zayas versus Boots Ennis. I was just thinking, it reminds me of Vargas wanting to fight Felix Trinidad and De La Hoya.
Uh-huh.
Could that be the same uh, outcome, or perhaps Zayas can somehow, you know, get a big win over Boots Ennis? What do you think?
I mean, this kid, Boots I've always been impressed with, but looking at this kid, he's got like, he understands range so well. Like he understands the distance between him and his opponent, and he can close that distance really quick, surprisingly quick. And I think Boots is in for he's in for someone that's going to be able to mirror a lot of his abilities. Like this kid throws beautiful combinations. And one thing I really like about Zayas, and again, I've only just seen him since you alerted me to him, and so I checked him out and everything, and I'm ready to do this talk about him. But I like the way he gets his hands away from his body. So many fighters like do this, and they're always like tick, 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 and picking punches and trying to stay sort of like correct in methodology on how their coaches have taught them, and they never learn to get outside of that range, because that's where a lot of damage is, where you can really create a lot of damage as a fighter. So everyone wants to throw these perfectly straight punches and everything's measured and everything's exact, but this kid has the ability to let, as does Boots, to be able to let his hands go out wide. And he can shoot straight, and he can shoot wide, and he can shoot over, shoot under. He has command of all the punches. And that's what's really exciting to me about this fight, because you have two fighters that are exactly like that. Even Leonard and Hearns, when we saw that, they're still decidedly different. Hearns is very much shoot straight down the middle. Leonard can come over top. He can shoot straight, but he can also come around. And what both of these fighters have the ability to do is, shoot straight, punch really sharp, but the circular punches, the hooks, those kinds of things are really, really impressive. So, in no way am I saying they Leonard and Hearns, but I am saying that their dexterity, the agility of their fists. In boxing, very few people can match it.
Yeah,
What do you think?
yeah, I agree. The 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 thing is that you know makes this fight more interesting is that I think both need to work on their defense. They both get hit quite a bit, uh, but at the same time, it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking when you see both guys getting hit. So what do you think about the defense? Because I don't think they have good defense.
Well, in comparison to who? Because if they lost, their defense. If they haven't lost, their defense is pretty excellent. Like if you haven't lost, your defense is good. At least it can stand up to what's been coming at you these days. But going up against one another, I think that, listen, they're both exciting fighters. They love to punch, and they have this kind of ability. Whereas, which I love about boxing and what you're supposed to do, it's not necessarily about hit and not getting hit, because that way people trying to steal decisions and run away with it and do all that ticky tacky kind of stuff. Their intention is to, you're not going to go the distance with me. That's their intention, and that is number one in terms of having a great fan base, people that'll really be able to appreciate you, people that'll put money down, they'll go to your fight, they'll spend money, and they're excited to see you fight because you're going to fight. You're not just looking to a points win. They're saying you're not going to go the distance with me. That's it. And if you do, you know what I mean, then you're lucky, or whatever it is, you're going to lose the decision. But my intention is to stop you. And both of these fighters are coming in with the same intention, with the same abilities. And they're saying, you're not going to go the distance with me. Watch. And so what we're going to be treated to is the best kind of fight. Now, whether that means they have a bad defense or not, they're not 100% defensively focused, but they get out of the way of the big punches, which is what counts. And sometimes they'll make mistakes, but they haven't had to pay for those mistakes yet. And I think that's cool, because the type of money they're getting paid, you kind of want to take that risk. You have to take the risk. People, I don't believe in just doing it because people want to be entertained. So you're going to take shots. Like I used to think Sugar Ray Robinson did that. Sugar Ray Robinson had the ability to not get hit at all, but he wanted to make it an exciting fight. So he'd stand right there toe to toe with these guys. He had a great chin. He took a lot of shots, and eventually, over the long haul, his punches won out. That's not necessarily going to be the case with these guys. I think it's dangerous, yeah, because we all know how Sugar Ray Robinson ended up. But having said that, as paying fans, it's well worth it. It's a fight that nobody should miss. This is a really good fight.
Yeah, it sure is. It's a good matchup. Everyone's shocked at the fact that Zayas wants this fight. Everyone's saying he's not ready. Most fans are saying he's not ready, which is why I mentioned Fernando Vargas when he fought Luis Trinidad. He wasn't ready.
Yeah,
And Robert Garcia even has said in quite a few interviews, I told him not to fight Trinidad. I told him not to fight De La Hoya, but he wanted those fights.
yeah.
Um, but
That's a
then,
warrior. I got to admire him for it.
oh yeah, but then again, like you just mentioned, Vargas wanted to fight for his fans,
Yeah.
and till this day, we still remember those fights.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
can respect him. We can respect
Yes.
him for those losses.
Yes, 100% respect, and you just hope that he financially took care of himself, where he had good people around him that would teach him how to invest and take care of his money. I know he has a son also boxing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I hope he's doing well, and he can lead with that experience that he had. He can lead his son on to greater things. But he must have made a good amount of money fighting who he fought: Trinidad, De La Hoya, and being champ himself. He beat a few guys. So yeah, I hope he's doing well because he's a warrior. He absolutely is. Your heart goes out to him. Every time he could get up, he got up, and he always brought fire back. So
I think speaking of Fernando Vargas, I think everyone forgets that he actually beat I Corte and Winky Red.
yeah, yep, exactly. He was no joke. He was no joke. He brought fire, and only the most elite of the division were going to beat him. Nobody else is going to beat him. And you know what? And he gave them all hell. He gave them something to think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's the reason why I can respect Zayas for taking this fight, even though many boxing fans are like, he's crazy. He shouldn't be
Yeah.
fighting Boots Ennis.
Yeah, what do they think he should do? Do you have any idea? What do you think, or do you think there's a better way for him to go with it?
Well, I just heard someone say there should have been a tune-up fight before Boots Ennis.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, tune-up fights are always interesting. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. You just have to make sure they're really tune-ups. Like you have a guy with very little resistance and is just more or less going to fall when you put the first offensive attack. As soon as you go at him hard, he's going to fold. What kind of preparation is that? It's not really as good as what you could do. What you could do if you were to, recreate the situations you're going to face in the gym and doing it like sparring. Having an extra fight is not going to it'll maybe puff the gate up, you know what I mean, but it's not going to enhance his abilities. What's going to enhance his abilities is what he does behind closed doors in training, how he thinks, how he eats, how he physicalizes his emotions, all the rest of that kind of stuff. That's really what's going to help him. Because now, as soon as you enter the top 10 in professional boxing, you should be capable to fight anybody in the world, including the champion. If you're in the top 10, and it used to be like in the 80s, the top 20, but, you should be able to fight anybody, and the champion can, because you have the mandatory number one. You have to fight the number one contender. After the mandatory, then you get your choice of whoever in the top 10, maybe even top 20 back in the day. But you get a choice in the top 10. And so either one could pick the other, and you should be ready to fight the champ. If you're in the top 10 and you get a title shot, you should be able to fight the champ. And otherwise, what are you doing there? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's the thing with Zayas. He's saying he's fighting for legacy, not just for money.
His legacy. Yeah, I mean, it really does make, it really does make a difference. Now, does he have, um, how many defenses does he have to him?
I believe it's two so far.
Okay. All right, he's doing all
Pretty
right. Because he,
both still young.
yeah. I don't know very much about him, unfortunately, because I've been sporadic in terms. I hear about the big fights and the big names, and I don't necessarily hear about the guys that are up and coming. Had I have seen him before or heard about him before, I absolutely would have been tuning in for all his fights. Um, for all of them, I think he's a very exciting fighter. I like his attitude. I like the way he punches. I like his defenses. The both of them, again, like I was saying earlier, were very similar. And what they tend to do is they have great vision. They're able to see their opponent's punches and they know how to react. That split second, they're able to react. And I love that about him and Boots.
Both fighters, I believe, are similar. Like they both have speed, they both have power,
Mm-hmm.
both big, strong.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, for some reason, everyone's picking Boots Ennis. So
Yeah, because they're used to seeing him win. The other kid hasn't got the same exposure. He hasn't had the same hype. Boots has got a whole lot of hype, and Boots is extremely, he's talking. I wouldn't say reckless, but he's talking very confidently, and so you hope he acknowledges the kid's ability, and he's done the work in the gym so that it'll be a little bit, maybe it'll be easier for him in a fight, but. I'm sure, he's a consummate professional and he's ready for it. He's not going to disrespect Zayas by coming in not prepared. The reason why he has the advantages that he has over the guys he fights, speaking of Boots Ennis, is because he respects them. He does the work he has to do. And they're both young and I think they both do that.
uh, speaking of Boots being confident, did you watch the press conference?
I saw, was it like a week ago, 5 days ago?
This is not too long ago, a few days ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see it, and Boots was talking about knocking him out, and Zayas was kind of, a little hesitant and, semi-respectful, but he's like, no, that's not going to happen. But Boots was ready to jump off right there, so I did see that. What did you think of it?
Well, I just thought like Boots Ennis is very confident, very confident.
Yes.
Uh, Zayas was also somewhat confident, but what questioned me was his team, his promoter, his trainer didn't seem to be that confident in their fighter.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really hard to read into fighters and read into like managers and trainers because what we tend to do is we kind of like reflect. We kind of put what we feel on the fighter, and we really don't know. But he may be reserved and careful about what he's saying, but that doesn't mean he's going to be reserved in the way in which he fights. And he may come in there. I mean, he would have to come out there absolutely confident in his ability. Because if he hesitates, Boots is going to, that may be the deciding factor. Any one of those things could be the deciding factor. If he hesitates, if Zayas hesitates, Boots is going to take advantage, and vice versa. If Ennis hesitates for whatever reason, then Zayas is going to be up because they are both reflex fighters. They're both very fast. They're both very intelligent, highly intelligent, and you can tell that by their dexterity, like the way in which they can move their hands. They can hook off the jab, they can jab, uppercut, and come back with an overhand right. They have full control of they have the spectrum of weapons. They have them all, and the diversity in their punches. like the diversity, what they can do with their hands is really amazing. I like the way Zayas, the way he goes to the body. Have you noticed that? I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he goes to the body real well. That's a throwback to like, guys used to do that inside work like Bazooka Limon and Julio Cesar Chavez. Yeah, guys that can work on the inside and dig the body. There's no
McCollum.
Oh, Mike McCollum, the body snatcher. Yeah, absolutely. And and the interesting thing about the body shot is like people always like to say it kills the legs. It doesn't kill the legs, but it kills your brain because it's the one time you get hit where you feel pain. You get hit in the head, you don't feel pain. As you get numb. Your brain's all over the place. You do not feel pain when you get hit in the face, in the head. But you do feel pain when you get hit in the liver, the kidney, the solar plexus, the heart, all those things. And it's a literal cramping pain that you can't make sense of and your body can't make sense of it. So the fact that both of them, I think, are going to be going to the body pretty hard. And I expect to see like the full array of their weaponry.
Yeah. Uh, you were once a fight. You were once, at ring. You were fighting everyone. So, what do you say to everyone? Saying that Zayas is crazy. For this fight. You were one of those fighters that fight everyone.
Yeah. Thanks. You know what? There is a methodology that will help you. I mean, he's champ right now, right? But there's having intelligent management really helps. It absolutely does. Because there are times, not when you take the fight for money, but when you just know when your fighter's ready. And fighters are not always ready for the fighters they're going to fight or they have to fight. Like I was the number one contender, and I was supposed to be ready to fight another gentleman for the world title, but I wasn't quite seasoned yet. Another 6 months from now, maybe another year. There were times when I certainly should have stepped back and not fought, and then knowing that I would get a fight, the same fight later on, because my rating wouldn't change. Hopefully, it would only get better. And it's being able to think like that, which is really important. So yes, you're absolutely right. His manager, and his trainer do have to, they have to know what his capabilities are and make sure he gets that fight at the right time. But me, from looking at him, not from talking, obviously don't know him. I don't know psychologically where he lives. But when I'm looking at him, I say to myself, this kid's, I don't. Could he get better? I don't know. He's certainly good enough. And I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for Boots Ennis at all. He's not fighting a guy that holds his hands to his body and refuses to punch. It's the first 5 rounds are going to be fire. Those are the ones to watch. That'll decide the rest of the fight.
Yeah, I agree. As a matter of fact, I think this fight's gonna end by knockout.
You do, right? And you're going with Boots. It sounds like.
I don't know. It's a 50-50. I don't.
Yeah,
I think it's a 50-50. Either guy can get knocked out. I think.
yeah. I mean, that would really upset Boots Applecart because one thing, he's very well known, even like outside of the boxing circles now. People talk about him because they see the way he finishes opponents off with this flourish, with this power, with all that, and they're really impressed by what he does. I'm like, okay, I get it. For many people, it's going to be their first time taking a look at Zayas. And so I think, forgive me if I'm wrong, because I haven't seen him, doesn't mean everybody else hasn't seen him, but I just don't think he's had the juice that put behind him as Boots has. And so they're gonna like this. Anyone who's not tuned into this fight's making a mistake.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said earlier on, fight of the year candidate. I believe
Yeah,
it's
yes. And you know what? It's like the quality of their boxing is so high. That's what's really beautiful about it. Again, like the quality of what they do, the way they jab, the way they defend, the way they slip punches, the way they, everything about what they do, the way they put combinations together. They're not predictable combinations. Like after the left comes the right, comes the left hook, comes the right hand again. It's not that. It's jab, double hook, right hand, and a right uppercut. And those kinds of things, when you see fighters doing that, you're saying to yourself, this man is advanced. He's not basic at all. He's not primitive. You know what I mean? This guy's not primitive, and neither one of these guys are primitive. So, anybody, respect is an important part of your fight, but also you can't respect to the point of hesitation. So, I think Boots is one of those kind of guys. Like when they start talking stuff like that, they don't want to respect their fighter that they're fighting because they don't want to hold their hands back. If you respect a guy, you don't throw very many punches because you might get countered. But if you're going in there without respect, you're able to let your hands go a little bit freer.
I should mention that Boots Ennis is moving up in weight.
Yes.
So since I mentioned Felix Trinidad, later on in his career, he didn't carry that power when he fought Winky Wright and Hopkins. So could that be the same thing for Boots Ennis since he's moving up?
Yeah, I mean, power comes from obviously being able to transport your weight from point A to point B. And so naturally, if he weighs more, he should be able to hit harder, as long as he's punching correctly, as long as everything's locking up and the locomotion and how he's turning his hands and he's making impact at the right point. He's not losing any speed, so he has something that weighs more and that is just as fast. So he should be hitting harder, but. He seemed like he was as a welterweight, you had to respect him because, I mean, Jackson, the Hawk. He wasn't that type of puncher, or Tommy Hearns type puncher. But he certainly is the kind of guy that after he hit you a couple of times, you're going to respect him.
Yeah.
But that one punch knockout, I don't know. I don't think anybody would want to get hit by him more than once. Like you taste that first one, it's not going to feel good, and you're not going to come. Nobody's. I've seen very few people counter him or take shots and then come right back at him. Yeah, so I think he can definitely get respect and at least respect.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens because so far, both guys, like I said, I've seen them get hit quite a bit, but I haven't seen them hurt. Like to the point.
Yes.
You know, I haven't seen them hurt. So
Yeah.
you
So
know,
neither one of them have been knocked down in their career.
no, they're both undefeated. But once again, I think their defense isn't all there.
Yeah, you're saying leaky. Was there any particular punch you thought they were susceptible to?
No, it's just funny how Boots Ennis said at the press conference that Zayas doesn't move his head. He doesn't move his big head. So he's saying,
He did say that. I said your head's so big I can't miss it.
mm. But then again, Boots Ennis also gets hit quite a bit. So
Mhm.
uh, that's the reason why I believe this fight's gonna it's not gonna go to the scorecards.
Well, those are the ingredients needed for it to be an exciting fight. I really feel this is a fans fight. It's a great fight for the boxing people, and they should all know about it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah. So Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, yeah. I think the place is going to be packed.
Uh, from what I'm hearing, thousands of fans from Philadelphia for Boots Ennis and thousands of fans from Puerto Rico for Zayas.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is like Puerto Rico North over here in New York, right? So yeah, he's definitely going to have his support, and I think that Brooklyn is going to be rocking. It's going to be rocking, and they're going to be treated to an incredible fight, like you were saying. Absolutely could be in there for fight of the year. Both of these guys have that kind of talent. They both really want to win, and they're both young and they're both in their primes. You don't see fights like this. You know, of the last, unless you're made to fight that guy, you don't really see that many. And I think it's because Boots, he probably doesn't respect this kid as much as he should. And this kid is, he's confident because, hey, I'm champ. I've been here. You're stepping up from welterweight. You come to take what I got. And I'm strong. I know what I'm doing. I have the experience. Because Zayas also has a good amateur pedigree as well, right?
Yeah, I don't know much about his amateur career, but
I thought I read about it, and that he seemed to be pretty experienced, and that would make sense to me. He's not one of these kids that learned in the professional ranks. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And like he had a healthy amateur background, and his style really, you know, it makes me say like it's a pick 'em fight. I haven't seen. I've heard a lot about Boots. I've seen him a couple of times. I like what he does with his hands. He's a great combination puncher, and combination punchers are the most intelligent guys in the ring. Guys that can fight in combination are absolutely by far and away the smartest guys in the ring, and so they both fight in combination. They're both like Einsteins. So two Einsteins in the ring. Let's see what happens.
I have to ask you about the bet that Boots Ennis made a bet with Zayas and Zayas didn't accept. Could
Oh,
that
he did.
be a bad look on Zayas for not wanting to bet?
Whoa, what was the bet for? How much was it? It was money, I imagine.
Yeah, it's money, but
How much? Do you know how much it was?
I don't know.
100,000, two
No, I don't
fifty.
I don't know exactly. No.
Oh, okay. Huh. Well, um, it's difficult because I put myself in that position. If someone were to say to me, "Listen, any fighter says, you listen, put your money down, and I would right away, because that was just my nature. I just, you just don't consider losing as a like that's not an option. It just doesn't happen. But I would be that way even after I lost a few fights, and someone said that to me. I'd still be like, yeah, let's do it. So that kind of says you're foolish to do such a thing because anything could happen, and you know. So do I think? Yes, in a level, in a way, it could be that Boots is kind of like doing a psychological trick on him by, put your money up if you're not, if you think you're really going to win, put your money up. And the kid says no, so he may just be frugal. He probably never bets anyway. So why would he bet in this instance? I don't know. I at one point I see what you're saying. I see that he could actually be kind of like dogging him a little bit, kind of like put him in his place or making him see a reality that he wasn't looking at before. If you can't put money on yourself, who are you going to put money on? And so I can see how he tries to belittle him in that way, but I don't know the kid psychologically. He can't let it get to him.
Yeah. And last thing, at the face off, Boots Ennis was touching Saya's belts. I found that kind of
Oh,
disrespectful.
sure.
But Saya's let him touch. He let him touch his belts. Yeah.
Yeah,
So could that also be,
a
a bad?
psychological.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can, but some people aren't instinctual, like bellicose. They're not warlike. You know what I mean? They're not quarrelsome. Some people aren't like that, but when you put them in the ring, they'll fight you to the death. But they don't get lit by things like that. Like there's some guys that you can come up and you'll slap somebody in the face before a fight. You'll smack them and they won't even come back. They'll just be like, okay, I'm gonna make you pay for that when the bell rings. but they don't. Outside of the ring, they're not doing that. And there's some excellent fighters that have done that. I remember when Roberto Duran was fighting Wilfredo Benitez, and they were talking in a press conference, and Duran was talking, Benitez was talking, it was getting hot. And then all of a sudden, Duran, sort of like they were standing with the guy in between them, he punched around the guy in between them, the MC, and hit Benitez on the side of the head. And Benitez just smiled it off and was like, yeah, 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 you're going to get it, you're going to get it. But he did sneak Duran back later on. It just took him a while to do it. He's like, I'm not just going to go crazy and like we're going to clash and do it right there. I'm going to do it when the time is right. So they think about it, and they use that as fuel, and they don't let that get in the way, because once you get hit and you react immediately, guess what? You are you're acting on instinct, and you want to act on intelligence when you're in the ring.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You want to use your intelligence and not your. There's a time for instinct, and there's a time when you've got to go down there and do that. But generally, nah. You want to be intelligent the whole way through.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think everyone forgets this is boxing. This ain't a street fight.
Exactly, and it's the guys that get all emotional that usually get lit up anyway in the end. The guys that are because that emotion, there's not enough fuel. It can't carry you through. Intelligence is the fuel that can carry you through a fight. 12 rounds, 15 rounds, whatever. If you're operating from here, you're good. But if you're instinctual, once you burn out, you have a problem after that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But hopefully, no one makes a mistake because, like I said,
Yeah,
I can get knocked out.
yeah,
Thanks. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. You can make mistakes. You don't see things for what they really are when you're leading with emotion. And once that fuel is gone, then you're like kind of like in the middle of an ocean without an oar, or without an engine in your boat. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So once the emotion's gone, emotion is a nice fuel at times. Like it gets the rocket off the ground, right? And maybe it gets it out of the atmosphere. But if you want to get to the moon or the stars, you need to use this, and you need to be able to calculate and know exactly what you're doing. It's not just for liftoff. You got to get all the way.
right about that. Oh, Silk, my time is running out, but I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me. It's a good time. Always great talking to you, young man.
We got to talk after this fight.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm definitely gonna watch this fight. This one almost snuck by me. I'm so glad you brought it up. Thank you.
Yeah, mark your calendar, June 27th, if I'm not
June
mistaken.
27th.
Park
I'm
Lake Center.
definitely, yep, definitely gonna check it out. Thanks again, brother.
So, God bless.
Peace out.